Hello, thank you for joining me today. I'm Jan Clothier of Thinking Stamping and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in New Zealand. Today I thought I'd share with you this card that I made using the Beauty of the Deep bundle. I'm calling this video a first date with Beauty of the Deep because literally that's what it is. I cracked open the stamp set and the die set, I don't know, about 2 hours ago, got them out and went, hello Beauty of the Deep, what can we do? I'd like to get to know you better. So this is the result of that. And also, to be honest, it's the result of necessity because I both wanted to play with this desperately and I had a design team card due at Colour Inspiration. So I've married the two together. My first date with Beauty of the Deep and the colour challenge at Colour Inspiration. And the colours that we had to work with this week at Colour Inspiration were Very Vanilla, Copper Clay, Lost Lagoon, and Pool Party, and I thought that at a stretch I could make that into a marine card. So let's see how we go. Okay, we'll start off with what you need, and as always, if you live in New Zealand and I use something that you would like to add to your craft stash, please feel free to shop with me. There's a link to my online store in the video description below and through the media end card at the end of this video. Beauty of the Deep is lovely. It's in the 2023 to 2024 annual catalogue. It comes with a beautiful die set which has stamp dies that match most of the stamped images, but also some extra bits and pieces. And normally I've done, if you've watched me before, you know I've done a lovely little stamp up and die cut of everything. Well, my acquaintance with this set is so new that I haven't actually had time to do that. So let's crack on and see what we need to make this card. So obviously you need the Beauty of the Deep bundle. And you'll have noticed, of course, that this is a stamp set without sentiments. So today, Beauty of the Deep is getting a little bit of help from our old friend, Something Fancy, and also the Something Fancy dies. But we'll talk about that a bit more later. We'll just pop that aside for now, pop that up there. Now, I've done a card base in Copper Clay, and as always for me, well, pretty much always, it's half of an A4 piece of paper, so it's 21 centimetres that way and scored at 10.5, and I've cut it at 14.8 centimetres. And if you are not a metrics person, if you're imperial, then just use your standard size card base and adjust the other things accordingly. Now, because Very Vanilla is one of the colours that's required in the colour challenge, that's what I've done for my card front and my inner. So my piece for the inside's 0.5 centimetres, or roughly 1/4 inch less than the card front. So it's 10 by 14.3. We'll just pop that aside because that's for the inside. And for the actual card front, it is slightly smaller because you can see I've matted it with Pool Party. So my Pool Party is 10 by 14.3. And so my piece of Very Vanilla is 0.5 centimetre, or roughly 1/4 inch less again. So that is 9.5 by 13.8. So that's what we need for that. Now there's some other little bits and pieces that we need. So you need a wee bit of Very Vanilla to stamp the fish, and they'll be die cut. I've got a wee bit of Very Vanilla where I have stamped the sentiment. And as we move through, I'll explain to you why I have stamped it off on that weird place. We also need a little bit of Copper Clay because there's a wee Copper Clay die cut there. And a little bit of Lost Lagoon, again for a little die cut. And a wee spot of Pool Party, again for a little die cut, and because I've got it shadowed underneath the sentiment. So I've got a couple of little bits of Pool Party for that. Okay, so we're going to start off by doing some stamping. So I'm just going to line up put my card front there, and I'm going to mask off about 1 inch up. So 1 centimetre, 2 centimetre. So that's 2.5 centimetres, or approximately 1 inch. It doesn't have to be an exact figure. It was just kind of like an indicator of how far up I'm going. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this beautiful seaweedy stamp here and I'm going to stamp it in Pool Party. Oh, sorry, no. Cancel that. I'm going to stamp it in Lost Lagoon. Because it's a fairly big stamp, I'm going to ink it up that way. And I'm going to stamp it so that it is, whoops, excuse my hair, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, isn't that a satisfyingly beautiful stamp? Now, earlier on, when I made my sample card, I also, at this point, I got my post-it note and I stamped the exact thing there, and I've cut it out to create myself a mask, which I'm just going to pop over the top, because what I want to do next is take this lovely seaweedy stamp and some Pool Party ink, and I want to stamp it in so that it looks like it's behind that great big beautiful seaweed that I've just stamped. Whoops. Just make sure I've got that inked up nicely. And I'm going to pop one in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes. And another one. Another one just over here a little bit. Doesn't matter. Well, I want it to look shorter, so I'm coming down over my post-it note. 10, giving the ink time to transfer. Put that over there. And now I'm going to remove my mask. And yes, indeed, my tall stuff does look like it's in behind that little beautiful one. Now I'm just going to upside down my post-it note. And now, crumb cake is a free colour at Colour Inspiration. You can always use crumb cake. So I'm going to come in with my blending brush. I'm just going to put in a little bit of a line at the base of my seaweed. At least that's what I hope I'm doing. We'll find out when I remove the mask. Okay, so we've done that. Just a little bit of a light beach. Oh, actually, I want that again. Okay, so fingers crossed. Yes, there we go. We've got our nice little line of sand. And now I'm going to take this little, well, it could be bubbles, it could be sand, it can be anything. It's one of those lovely anything stamps. And I'm going to, again, take the crumb cake and I'm just going to stamp along there just to make it look a little bit like sand at the bottom of the ocean. Okay, so we've got that happening. Right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to add in some sea urchins in copper clay. Just make sure I've got them up the right way. Yep, another one of those very satisfying stamps. Okay, I'm going to try not to get my hair in the shot. Apologies if it is. Oh, lovely one. 2. And oh, where will we have the third one? We might have them just down there a bit. Okay, so we've got 3 nice copper clay sea urchins. So that's our nice little bit of background stamping. Now, earlier on, you saw that I had stamped on my clay, in copper clay, I'd stamped those beautiful little angelfish. What I'm going to do to tie in the colour theme is I'm just going to give them a little bit of a touch up with my Pool Party blend. So I'm going to start with light and colour that centre band, and then just to give them a bit of depth, oh, that's not supposed to happen. I'm just going to give them a little bit of darker Pool Party at the edges just to sort of make them look a little bit more 3D. Now, I have, in fact, there are dies for that, and It's an interesting little die. Whoops. Come out, come out. There he is. There's the little die for the fish. And by sheer magic, here are a couple that I did earlier. So we've got those to add into our scene. And the other dies that I used for this little first date with Beauty of the Ocean is I used that little one and that little one. You can, what I did was I actually cut out two of, when I was running them through the die cutting machine, I did one each of Pool Party, Lost Lagoon and Copper Clay, and then I just picked the ones that I wanted to use. And so I think, that's something that you could do too. I've chosen in the end to add in a Pool Party, a Lost Lagoon one. I'm going to add in a little Pool Party one. I'm going to take this one and I'm just going to make them a weeny bit shorter. And he is going to pop in there, and then I'm going to add in that little one there. But if you're doing this at home, obviously you could try out all sorts of different colour combinations and organise them the way that you want. Okay, so now we can start doing a little spot of assembly. So I'm going to take my sea scene and I'm going to, just pop them onto my Pool Party mat. The glue's going to give me just that little shade of wiggle room that I need to make sure I'm nice and straight. Okay, when I'm happy, I'm just going to run the bone fold around the edge just to get a nice firm seal. And then I'm going to adhere the whole thing to my Copper Clay card front. There he goes. Now, our sentiment. Now, you'll have noticed that I did stick the sentiment off to one side on my piece of paper. And that was because what I'm going to do with him is I'm going to get the Something Fancy dies. I'm going to take this center one here. And I'm just going to treat it like a banner. So I'm just going to go off and die cut like that to turn it into a banner rather than a label. And I'm going to take a piece of Pool Party and I'm going to cut another piece the same, and then I'm just going to layer them together and cut them to the length I want. So by magic, look, here's one I did earlier. So that's just going to pop up there. Now I could do, I'm not quite sure because I've obviously stamped that a little bit higher on this one than I did on the sample. So I could just leave it there, or I could just take it off to the side. You know how sometimes when you're stamping, you end up making slightly different design choices as you go. So I think I'm going to pop it up there in the corner so that I can see the whole of the leaf. Time will tell whether that was my correct choice or not. Okay, so we'll just get the tweezers and we will, pop him up there. And I'm going to go up to the level of the mat on this instance. I could have gone and cut it a little bit shorter, but I think then it might have just looked a bit mean. So I'm not going to do that. Okay, so the fish I'm going to pop up on dimensionals. The little antenna, or whatever it is that this fish has got, is sadly going to go without dimensionals. He'll just have to take his chances in the life of the card. Okay, so we'll flick off the backs. And where will we put them? Well, I think we need one about there. And where shall we pop the other one? could go down there, couldn't he? We could go up there. I don't know, I feel like I'm going to put them, just pop them down there. This time, just be a little bit different for that one. Now, when it comes to embellishments, I'm going to use these 2023 to 2025 in colour dots because there is a lovely copper clay set. Now, after I did this one, I had a bit of a dilemma about whether I should have done it quite that way. Well, we shall just see, won't we? I'm going to start, I think, with a little one. What I really like about, well, all right, there's a lot of things I like about this set of embellishments. I love the shine of them. I love the colour of them. I like the way they actually are the colour of the paper and the ink. But the thing I love the best is that there's a large, a medium and a small, and I love it when you get three sizes of embellishments. I just think it looks so nice when you use them together. So I think we'll do one there. Yeah, I'm going to stick with pretty much the same deal that I used on my original card. But obviously that's one of the things, if you were making this at home, you could play around with and do it how you think it looks nice. Okay, so there you go. There is the result of my first date with Beauty of the Deep. I absolutely love this set because I'm a big fan of maritime sets and sea sets. So I'm sure that if you watch me regularly, you'll see lots more examples of this, and you might remember back to what happened on the very first date. Now, the only other thing I've got to show you is what I did on the inside, and that was just, I just stamped a bit more of a scene, but you could do whatever you wanted on the inside of yours. I always say to my class people that the inside's a good place to have a bit of an experiment. Anyway, if you've seen anything that you've liked today and you live in New Zealand, please shop with me. As I said, there's a link to my online store in the video description below and in the media card that's going to pop up at the end of this video. As always, I'm happy to answer questions, and again, you can do that in the comments below or through my Jan Clothier Independent Stampin' Up Demonstrator Facebook page or my blog Thinking Stamping. If you've enjoyed what you've seen today, please, and you haven't already subscribed, please do so you don't miss anything new that I do. And above all else, everyone, happy stamping.